Hey, what's up, Patriots? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we have with us Miss Nancy Machetta.
Hi.
And I'm just gonna ask her a few questions about her military career. So, what made you decide that you wanted to join the military?
I wanted to escape my hometown environment and get the GI Bill so I could go further my education. Come from a large family. Finances would never have paid for it, and this is back in the 70s, so I'm really dating myself here. But also it was a way to have adventure and travel.
So, what was the recruiting process like when you decided that you wanted to join the military?
Well, I wanted to be in the Navy because I liked the uniform, but I found out at the time women weren't allowed on the ships, so that was just, I was misindignant, and I liked the Air Force uniform with the beret on the female, so I met with Sergeant Wright, my recruiter, and took him a year to get me in because I was starting to get nervous, but the Vietnam War was ending, so I wasn't as worried about being sent over there as a nurse or an aide, something like that. So you have to get weighed, you have to have a physical, and you have to do an aptitude test, and they concluded that I should be in telecommunications. So I was like, oh, okay. Whatever that is.
So your job was telecommunications.
Mm-hmm.
What did an average day look like for you?
Back in that day, the computer was an entire wall, and we used what's it called? Not ticker tape, but tape that was punched and baud, and we'd encrypt a message, decrypt messages, send and receive, log them in, stamp them classified, confidential, secret, top secret. We'd notify whatever office was supposed to receive it. They would have to come and sign off that they received those documents. And then I would have to look at their ID and then give them the messages. In reverse, they would give us a message to send, we'd log it in, type it up, and transmit it, and then store it for a week, and then we would shred. We'd have to take all those tapes and hard copies. I didn't call them hard copies then, but we would take them to the shredder at the end of the week and pulverize it to literally dust. We also, every 24 hours, we were in charge of crypto gear. And I worked for NORAD, and then I worked for NATO overseas, first in Montana and then in Germany. So we had to secure and change the key code cards every 24 hours. And that required going down to the command center and changing all of it out and stapling the old key cards. It was a big deal. It was high security. It still is, but it's done differently today. So I guess I worked 2 swing shifts, then I'd work 2 midnight shifts, and I'd work 2 day shifts, and then I'd have 80 hours off. They were called double backs. We were always undermanned, so a lot of the times we worked 12-hour shifts with no days off. And that was probably the hardest part. Underpaid and overworked. That's nothing new. It's still that way.
So when you did have free time, what did you do during that time?
Well, I lived in the dorm until I got married, so we still had to keep our rooms clean, and once a week they would come in and inspect, and I got dorm of the week or dorm on that floor every month or whatever, because I love clean. And then you did laundry, wrote letters, did your little bit of snack food shopping. I didn't own a car, but my friends did, so we'd go to different bars off base where they had disco dancing, and we'd go dancing. Yeah, in Montana, there wasn't a whole lot to do. And when you went on a date, the guy would take you to watch the Missouri River flood and pour down the road. You know, so that's about it. There wasn't much to do there.
So do you have any specific stories that you like to tell people? about any time in the military.
Well, I don't know, should I talk about the Deutschmark Strasse? I ran out of gas after I was married, and I had a 1960 VW Bug with no gas gauge. And this was 1977, 77. And it was midnight, and I was getting off my swing shift, and I was in my utility uniform, which was a light blue blouse, navy pants, and black shoes, and my black hat. And I ran out of gas on 40 Markstrasse, which is where the hookers who were ejected from the whorehouses or brothels in Germany were, because they have to have a health certificate every 30 days certifying that they had no venereal diseases. And these were girls who didn't have their health certificate certified. So I was with my little flashlight walking down the road, passing the cute little girls, because it was called 40 Markstrasse because for 40 marks the men could have sex with these girls. Anyway, so I made it to the military police post, and they gave me a ride home in their Jeep, and I had to wake my husband up and tell him I was out of gas in my car, and we didn't have a gas can, so we took our waste paper basket, and over there they have gas pumps, or they did, I don't know if they still do, that are coin operated. And we had enough Deutschmarks to fill the waste paper basket up with gasoline, so I have it between my knees in my husband's car. And we had a funnel from the kitchen, and we poured it from the waste paper basket into my car. And my husband wanted to start it, and I said, no, it's my car. I want to start it. Well, I flooded the engine. By now it's like 2 a.m, and my husband has to get up at 5 or 5:30. And these Germans show up, and they're pretty lit. They have been drinking, and they're trying to help us, and all we can say is auto kaput, and they're trying to get it started, and finally they quit and say auto kaput, and they take off. And my husband says, I'll drive your car, you just push it with my brand new car down the road, which we did. And my car, my VW, finally started up, got home, and my husband had to go to work. It was fun for me because I went to sleep, but it wasn't so fun for my husband.
So you mentioned that was in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get to travel a lot while you were in the military?
Unfortunately, we were always on a tight budget, but that's nothing new for the military. I did travel. I'm originally from Michigan. I got orders after tech school in Texas and basic in tech school, orders to Montana, and then orders to Germany. After I was married, my husband got joint spouse. We ended up going to France, Switzerland, Italy, a little bit. Did we touch on Italy? No, I guess not. And then after marrying my husband, I had gotten out, had 2 of our babies. He got orders to South Korea, and we got to join him about 8 months later. And so we got to see South Korea. We got to live there for over 2 years. And when we came back, we were stationed in Nebraska, Ohio, New Mexico. And then our jobs, after my husband got out, took us to Oregon, California, Colorado, and now Arizona. So we've traveled a lot and taken advantage of it. Our jobs also, civilian jobs, took us to Israel. So I feel like I've seen a lot of the world in different parts of the world, which is really cool.
So out of all of those places that you were able to visit, what was your favorite place?
I will always probably say South Korea because you're in a foreign country. It's a small country. Very few families were allowed, and still very few families are allowed to go with their spouse to South Korea because there's enough housing for families, and it's expensive to ship them over and their things and ship them back. A lot of guys will go for 1 year and then come home because they don't want to disrupt their family's life back home. But because we are a small community of families, we really grew close and were very protective of each other. And I remember when the space shuttle exploded, we woke up and it had just happened, 8 8 hours later back in the States, but we didn't know about it till we woke up the next day. But we were just as grieved, and it was hard being not in the States, seeing our country suffer. So I think about like 9/11, how the military overseas must have felt to see our land being hurt and not being part of it. But I definitely, my best memories are South Korea, because we were really close to one another. We knew each other's cars and kids and our husbands' jobs and ranks and how long they'd been in. Everybody knew everybody over there.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
So if you could, would you join again?
Absolutely, without a doubt. Now, I'm not talking about current military. I'm talking about when I joined. It was one of the three, I have 3 good decisions. That was the second great decision of my life, and it gave me opportunities that would have never been afforded to me otherwise. Today, it's a little different because of it's so easy for us to end up in wars again, and women can't go to war, and they're not necessarily discharged because they're pregnant, and I wanted to be home with my children and raising them. So I don't know that I would go in now, but I'm really grateful that I did go in and serve, and I met wonderful people, really people who would really give their life for their country.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want people to know about the military, about your experience? Anything at all?
No, I just think if there's not another opportunity afforded you, it's a great way to experience and find your footing, whether it's even to end up going back to school or going to school while you're in. I think it helps you crystallize who you are and the direction you want to go, instead of being kind of lost or sitting back and waiting for it to come to you. This is a way, kind of forces you to get going, I guess. So thank you for asking, and thank you for taking an interest in our veterans. I don't feel like I did anything special, but I know a lot of men, especially, who did, and several women, of course.
Well, thank you for taking time to do this
Sure.
interview, and thank you for your service.
Well, my pleasure. Thank you.